as a team. To put it into a context which we can understand, I always look at clothes tags. I'm sure a lot of the children that you care for want their tags cut off their clothes, or they, as I was saying before, socks and shoes. So we want to look at the sympathetic nervous system is telling the child that the clothes tag is a threat. It's bothered by that tag that's at the back of their shirt or by the sleeves that is touching their wrist. The sympathetic nervous system wants it gone. It wants to fight that tag by taking the jumper off. It wants to flee that jumper as quick as they can, even if it's 5 degrees outside. They want that jumper off. I want that clothes tag gone. The parasympathetic nervous system can't rest and can't digest. That's when we see things, as I was saying before, like we're not feeling hungry or we're feeling over hungry. We need to be reminded to have a drink. We don't think about needing to have a drink. And we're definitely in those moments of finding that toileting sometimes quite challenging. Thank you so much, Sophie. Yes, clothes tags is a very common challenge for our children. And it's thanks, Heather. Yeah. And it's something that we sometimes take for granted. We just think we just put a jumper on and we're fine. But most of us don't have sensory processing disorder. So this jumper, just put your jumper on. It's winter. You need to put your jumper on. And for some children, that can fire their SNS, their sympathetic nervous system, all day. Until they get that jumper off, that sympathetic nervous system is firing. Other children, I do ask teachers randomly, does that child always have a hood on? You probably don't notice it, but I will go straight into a kindergarten classroom and I'll find any child that has a hood on. Because what I'm looking for is that hood on because I'm hiding from the feeling of the wind, the feeling of the breeze? Or is that hood on because I like the pressure around my head? It's making me feel safe from something. So that SNS, the sympathetic nervous system, is firing constantly to have that hood on. We don't want that stress all day, because how are we going to rest? How are we going to digest? How is that parasympathetic nervous system going to kick in and start to help this child? So yes, clothing is a real big challenge for our little ones with sensory processing. I'll give you some tips coming up, so don't worry. The tantrum comes, or the meltdown comes, when our bucket becomes so full with stress that we can't take it anymore. It overflows. We've had enough. So tantrum can come in that I just want to avoid this situation. So for example, you've got me in mat time, and I don't like sound, and I don't like people too close to my personal space, and I have to sit in this mat time, and my sympathetic nervous system can only take so much. So then my tantrum comes, I push my friend so that I can get away from mat time, because typically I'll get removed if I hit someone, and then, I've removed myself from mat time. Threat has gone away. Threat's still at mat time. I'm now away from mat time. I feel so much better. Parasympathetic nervous system can start to kick in. I can start to rest. So we can see that these behaviors are sometimes just a fight or flight. Purely need to get out of the situation, get me away from here. My sympathetic nervous system cannot take it anymore. So the next thing we need to do is learn about how we help these sensations. But we need to always remember that these two systems can't work at the same time. So we want the parasympathetic nervous system to be the main worker. We want to mostly be in rest. I'd much prefer to be resting and digesting than I would to be feeling stressed. But if we think about where we are at the moment as Australia-wide, worldwide, we are in a lot of stress. So our autonomic nervous system, which is mostly firing at the moment, is our sympathetic nervous system. It's the nervous system that has our heart rate increased. It has our blood flow going away from our organs. It's going up towards where we can get ready to fight or flee. That's our muscles. Hands tight, jaw tight. We've got more headaches coming on because all that tension that we're carrying in the sympathetic nervous system as our parasympathetic nervous system is struggling to find time to rest. So this session is all about the parasympathetic nervous system, how we get that little guy to kick in. And hopefully by the end of tonight, you'll have some tricks that you can have up your sleeve for tomorrow.